Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, the place to laugh, sip on a little wine, and have open and honest conversation. Here you will find the tools to resolve real life issues. Unwind, pour up a glass, and get ready to exhale. All righty, Mr. Leo. Light. Oh, I'm going to tear it up. I'm going to tear it up. You say it. Come on, Leo. Give it to me right.
Lightbourne.
I know
Lightbourne.
that. I just want to say it differently. Why? I don't know. Remember, y'all know I'm real bad with names. I'm so excited to have you on this discussion, Sons of
Mhm.
Our Fathers episode of the podcast. We
Right.
were fortunate enough to have this wonderful guest on the radio station where Leo just knocked it out of the park. He's very open. He's very candid, and he's definitely into um, just really helping young men and just helping people be living their truth, being open with
Yes.
their experiences and things that they've went through. So I want to start off with you gave us a couple of things to describe, couple of words to describe you. I want to ask you, why did you choose the words that you chose to describe you? Do you remember those words?
I'm trying to track back
Mm,
now.
mm. Or how about if I ask
Open
you,
definitely would have been there.
or
Open
how
would have
about
been
if I
there.
ask you just to tell the guests a little bit about you, the listeners, a little bit about yourself?
Um, Quickly, I would describe myself as probably one of the most open people. I'm open by default. Self-driven. I don't like to live in a box. So don't try to box me in. I'm always stretching outside of my comfort zone, always trying to break barriers. Hence, I use the hashtag no one expected.
Mm,
From the beautiful Turks and Caicos Islands, that's my home country.
mhm,
I've also lived in the UK for a short period of time for educational purposes. I'm very involved in youth work. Um, I'm currently producing a TV series featuring Generation Z
mm.
hosts. So giving them a platform underneath my platform to have their voices heard. I'm huge on having people voices heard, especially young people, because I feel like the only time you hear the youth voices during political times and campaigns when our voice should always be involved in the process. So I'm very huge on youth having a voice, and most of the things I do is usually around that.
I would definitely agree with you on everything that you said because it is usually when we go out and want to get the youth involved, it's around campaign times.
Right.
And I think that that's unfortunate
Mhm.
because they have so much more to offer, so much more to say, not just during that time, but during all times. And I think that
Yes.
if we, the older generation, would take a little more time to listen and get an
Right.
understanding, as well as them listening to us and gaining some wisdom. So
Yes.
I think the conversation has to go both ways, but we
Yes.
don't just pull them out when it's
Mhm.
beneficial. And I think that that's
Right.
where it's so much frustration with that generation
Mhm.
because we only comfort them when we need something from them.
Right.
And
Right.
so I'm really proud of you for taking this journey on. You
Thank you.
have an amazing voice, and we're going to just dive on in there. I have a couple of things I really want us to get into, Leo, and I really
Mhm.
want to talk about what was your childhood like. Let's talk about that. What was your childhood like?
Um, my childhood, when I look at most people of my descent or color, I would say it was normal.
Mhm.
Being raised in a single parent household by my grandmother, who was hardworking. Um, at one point, my mother was there as well, but she left when she got married, lived for her husband. So at one point, it was just my grandmother raising me. And
Mm,
these situations in our communities is normal, but then it's not ideal for our survival.
mhm,
So as I got older, I was able to realize that this isn't normal, that most of my friends are growing up in single parent households, and that left most of them exposed to a lot of society threats, drugs, alcohol, addictions, not
You know,
pushing
you
themselves in the field of education. Sorry, go ahead.
you know, when we say that that's normal in our community, that in itself is concerning. Wouldn't you
It is
agree?
concerning.
You
Yeah, it
know,
is.
to think that it's normal for little black boys, little black girls to come from a single parent home or not even being at home with either one of their parents, being raised by
Right,
the grandmother or some
right,
other family member to be
right.
normal is concerning in itself. And when we
Yeah,
don't and when I say normal, and I know when you say that, normal in the environment in which you were brought up,
brought
because
up
there are
in, right.
also a lot of African American families, two-parent homes where
Yeah,
parents are got it right and getting it right. So we're
right.
not in any way saying that that is what's happening in all of the communities, but in which the
No,
communities in which we
I was raised in. Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you
Mhm.
allowing me to elaborate because I wouldn't want anyone to think that we're saying all African American, this is normal
Oh,
and
no,
all
no. I don't want
right,
to generalize at all. Yeah,
right. Well, sometimes people will
yeah,
take just one piece of what you say and then it turn
yeah,
it into no, that's not what we're saying
yeah.
here.
Mhm.
Okay. With that being said, what was the first important or difficult lesson you had to learn growing up? That's with your grandmother. What was the first thing that was difficult?
My first difficult
Lesson you
encounter.
had to learn.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I
That's a
know,
deep
right?
one.
I know,
That's
right?
a
Makes you think.
my first difficult
We can come back to it.
lesson
And Imma tell
that
you why. I want you to think on that. We'll come back to
because I
that.
think I know the first lesson she taught me, but the
Mhm.
difficult lesson, okay, I have to think about that.
That's okay. We're gonna
Yeah.
and the reason there is a reason and there is gonna be a mm, I'll just go ahead and go there.
Hmm.
With your father not
Hmm.
being there
Hmm.
and the effect that it had on you going to school or even just not having him there, being a part of your sports or watching you in a program.
Right.
What did your grandmother do to encourage you to keep going?
Well, my grandmother, she also raised boys
Mhm,
without their fathers, so it was more of a generational
mhm.
um, thing for her. For me, her biggest lesson for me is hard work. Nothing
Yes,
is going to be given to me, and coupled with always respecting people. Like she was huge on respect. No matter upper class, lower class, you give everybody their respect. Well, my grandmother was huge on hard work, huge on you have to go out there and you have to get it because
and
nothing is going to be given to you in this
and
world.
that's why I said what was the most important and difficult lesson is understanding about hard work
Yeah,
because that was something that was put into you early on. That's why
yeah,
you're the man you are today. And
yeah,
then respect,
yeah,
having the ability for you to be able coming from the dis I don't even wanna call it dysfunction, or I wanna say coming from not having the parents in the home to looking
hmm,
at the platforms that you're sitting on today, that all came from what your granny put into you
yeah.
early on about respect and being
Respect
able
everybody.
and being willing to sit up, and look a person in the eye, be honest,
Yeah,
because everything that you are doing it's gonna project out.
yeah.
So, that was my thing for really wanting to know, dig a little bit more into granny. I am a grandmother. And so I'm a grandmother of 9. So it's
Wow.
important. Yes, 9
Wow.
beautiful grandchildren. My oldest is 22. He'll be 23
What?
this. Yes, yes.
Black don't crack.
It never does it? My oldest daughter is 40. My oldest child is 40. Yes. So, when I hear that, when I'm you're like, "Whoa." Huh? So, I'm bringing that up to you because as a grandmother, there's a few things that's important to me, and it is about respect and
Yes.
integrity and just having when you say you're gonna do something, you're gonna do
You
it.
do it. Yeah.
When you say you're gonna be somewhere, you're gonna be there.
Mhm.
It's just no excuse, and so I
Yeah.
like the fact that and I really wanted you to kinda hone in on that because
Yeah.
as we talk about this conversation for, young boys in mentorship, I think those are the basics that you have to instill into young men, into young women today, and they're missing that. Would you
Yeah.
elaborate on that, do you think?
Yeah. My what I was gonna say, my grandmother is a lady who I've never heard complain about the work. Like she literally came to do this work no matter what it was. And she made no excuses. And that's something that I see in myself today. Like you give me something, let's do it. I don't want to hear the obstacles. I don't want to hear the challenges. Let's see how we can get it done. Let's do the work. Looking back at it now, I can see a lot of my work ethic keep coming from her in
Mhm,
regards to how I approach things, and even getting up early in the morning to get things done. That's my grandmother.
mhm,
So the most important lesson she gave me was exactly that: having a work ethic as a man,
mhm.
and taking the initiative, and being assertive, and not complaining, just putting your best
Just
foot
go
forward
get it.
every single day, and
Don't
chipping
go I
away
mean,
at it.
that's
Yeah.
right, you can't sit around and complain about the woe be.
Yeah.
"Oh, no one's giving me a chance." Okay,
Hmm.
go make your chance.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so and not saying that everybody's chance is gonna be something easy, not saying
Hmm.
that you're not gonna get some doors closed in your face, you're gonna get that,
Hmm.
but
you
you
know
gotta
it,
keep pressing.
yes, and she's someone that the fathers of her children wasn't in their lives. I
Mhm.
never hear my grandmother complain about that.
Never.
Life threw her curveballs, and she never degraded the men. She never complained about it. She was like, okay, this is the circumstances I was given. I'm gonna make something happen. And to this day, none of her children nor grandchildren have seen a prison system. And that just
Wow.
speaks on the type of person that she was, and
Wow.
how involved she was in the process.
So are you telling me how many children did she have?
My grandmother had 8 children.
8 children, and how many
One passed away.
1 passed away, and how many
Yeah,
grandkids?
I think 13.
That's a testament in
Yeah,
itself. In
yeah,
today's society, with her being a basically raising all of her children
by herself.
uh, by herself, that speaks volumes. So,
Yeah.
and the grandkids, the ones that she did raise, that
And,
speaks
and,
volume.
Yes, Phil, and that's why in my book I have a chapter called "Success is Self-Defined."
Hmm.
Like to me, my grandmother's the most successful Black woman because she did that in an environment like you talking
Yeah,
about the '80s, where our communities were heavily infested,
with
well, with drugs. I came from a community in the Turks and Caicos Islands, well, an island in the Turks and Caicos Islands called the Big South. The Big South got the name Big because of how much drugs was trafficking into it in the '80s. That's when they got the
wow.
name the Big South.
Oh
So
wow.
our streets were heavy with drugs in the '80s. Hence the name the Big South, because obviously,
Yeah.
you bringing in a lot of money with that.
Right.
There's a huge festival called the South Caicos Regatta. That was where the big boys hung out, and you saw them flexing their drug money, etc., etc. So she raised a family during that era, and
Wow.
none of them came out on drug addictions or saw a prison system. So that's why that chapter in that book was important to me, because I believe that we also have to rethink the way we approach success, that word within itself. Because to me, my grandmother was the most successful person in my community,
I
in
w
my opinion.
I wanna say to you, hands down, I would have to agree with you wholeheartedly. It's just amazing just to hear that
Yeah,
alone, the fact that wow. I mean,
yeah,
I'm just blown away, and that in the '80s, that was infested with drugs.
yeah.
That was a time not just in the Kirks and Caicos, but in the United States as well.
Mhm.
That's when crack and all of the other
Yes,
stuff was out there, and it was
yes.
unbelievable. So to say that, that is a testament. I'm gonna go ahead and kind of take this a little further. The importance, and kind of really talking about the importance of a male mentorship in the boy's life. Had you had, or did you have any male mentorships as you were coming up?
Yeah, my uncle Warren,
Mm-hmm.
he was integral in my childhood. And then later it would be my best friend's father, Richard Stubbs. He would
Mm-hmm.
take me on his wing in my early adult life. And both of them pretty much made me the man that I am today. Even my involvement in telecommunications and TV producing, I got that from my uncle, because growing up, he was the cameraman
Oh.
for the TV station in South Caicos.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a child, let me tell you something, man. As the children you pour into, you'll be surprised how much they take, how much things they take with you from you into their adulthood. Like, I never knew that I would be doing these things as an adult. Like the same thing that my uncle used to do, I'm doing
That
it
he
now.
exposed you to.
Right.
Yes.
So that just shows you how powerful mentorship is, and how
Yes.
it can not only shape the next generation, but also give them a vision. Because I have a vision with the platform that I
Yes.
have right now, and that's providing a voice for young people in the form of podcast shows, or TV shows.
Mhm.
And my uncle started off just being a cameraman. I'm taking it a step further, and actually producing these TV shows now. So he laid a foundation. His mentorship has laid a foundation for me to stand on, and I am forever in debt to him and his guidance, and him seeing me out on the corners at certain times and telling me, "Hey, you need to go home."
You need to go home. Get
Like,
out of
and
here.
he ain't gonna have no smile on his face. He won't crack. I
He's like,
promise you.
"Get your butt and get home. What are
My
you doing out
my
here?"
right. My uncle only started smiling with me when I started to have mature conversations with him. But
Oh,
prior to
wow.
that, that dude was no smiles.
He
Like,
was
it
not
was
he
straight.
was serious, so when he gave you
It
that
was
look, you knew
serious.
what time it was.
Oh yeah, yeah. He only started having, like, cracking a smile when he saw that. Okay, yeah,
You got it. You're
you got it now.
understanding.
You're
Wow.
understanding now. But
Wow.
and then my mentor, he's more of a spiritual teacher for me.
So
So
when we
he's taught
talk
me a
about
lot.
spiritual, and this
Right,
is one of my things, when you speak of spiritual teacher,
right.
let's talk
Mhm.
about that. Let's
Okay,
yeah, I really want to go there.
okay.
Let's your spiritual teacher, what is your religion?
Christianity.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
And the reason I
Christianity.
said that, because I think a lot of times we society have said
Mhm.
that it's easier for us to say I'm spiritual versus saying I'm a child of God. You get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I want to give him all the credit. I
Oh,
don't want
for
to
sure.
offend anyone, but he is the head of my life.
Oh, for
And
sure.
he is the reason that we are I'm breathing, eating, and sleeping,
Amen.
and doing this too. Being able
Yes.
to speak to a young man that is so powerful like yourself, all the way in one of my cities
You
I've yet to explore a country. I'm
you
coming
coming.
there.
You
I'm
coming.
coming. I am coming. Um, nobody but him could have done this for me.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to hear you say that, and truly, because there is no way you could have made it through. Your
Mm-mm,
grandmother could have made it through without.
mm-mm.
I mean, I just don't see how.
And I'm sitting. I was sitting this morning because I was thinking about this show this morning, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking about my grandmother. Um, I'm like, man, nothing but the grace of God,
Nothing.
because I look at the environment and just this. My grandmother doesn't have the highest education was third grade high
Wow.
school, only because at that time that was the highest grade
You
in
can
South
go to.
Caicos. So
Mhm.
third grade education level. I mean not third grade, third form, which would be the ninth grade in the US.
Okay,
So we
okay.
call it, yeah,
Forms.
we call it forms. Yeah, that would be equivalent to the ninth grade in the U.S. That's our highest
That's right.
educational achievement rate there. And
Mhm.
so when I look at that, and I've seen what she's been able to do, and how in those environments, in those circumstances, man, it's nothing but the grace of God. Nothing but the
Nothing.
grace of God. And
Let me a
one of her main her another lessons for me was always reverencing God the right way, never saying his name in vain. Like she was huge on this. And
Yes.
so my grandmother and her faith is what kept her through for sure.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna ask you a question. What are some of the well, I guess I want to ask that one. How can a young man without a father learn positive values? Mm,
Um, Mentorship. Um,
okay. And the reason I'm
Surrounding
bringing that up because I want you to talk about mentorship. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
mentorship is the right way. And mentorship and also brotherhood,
Yeah.
identifying the people that aligns with your purpose and your vision that can feed it. If you're the smartest in the room, get out of that room. Make sure you're in a room with people that are smarter than you in specific
Yes.
areas. So
Yes.
I have friends that are marketers. I have friends that are lawyers. I have friends that are doctors, and I can't match their expertise in those fields. But they give me a different perspective on things, and then these are the people that you need to be around, and also make sure that they're driven as well, because you feed off that. Because not every day you have that energy to go. Sometimes you need to see that, okay, my friend got up this morning, he posted that he's working out. Okay, I need to go hit the gym too. So,
Yes.
just surrounding yourself with people that can hold you accountable is one of the ways. And also mentorship. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my mentor constantly reminding me that I have something to give this world.
Mm.
He would always pour into me even before I saw this. He saw this before I did. He saw me being on national radio or
He
speaking to children
saw
before
it.
I did. And
Wow.
he constantly poured into me, told me what I needed to do, the adjustments I needed to make. And what made the difference, and what a lot of people need to take into consideration with this, is that you have to be open and you have to be obedient, and
Mhm.
trust what they're saying. And that's hard, especially with this generation that can
Right.
Google a lot of things. You
Yes.
know, Google cannot replace human nature or human experience, I would
You
say.
because
You know.
here's what's happening so much with the Google and,
Hmm.
people are no longer being, they're not emotionally connected to anything,
Right.
which I think has really hindered a lot of the younger generations because they really don't see the importance of engaging, picking up the phone, having a
Yeah.
conversation. They
Yeah.
rather send a text or a quick email, but nothing beats a phone call,
Nothing. Nothing.
or having that interaction with someone. And I think that that also has helped hurt. I was talking about my grandson one day, and we were talking about kids in school. And one of the things that I think is hurting the kids is the cell phones, the
It is.
tablets,
It
because
is.
they're much more. engaged in that than even socializing and sitting down and
Yeah.
engaging with the family. And so,
Yes.
what family has done, that has broken down, I believe, that family line as well, because that
Hmm.
kid now has a cell phone or a tablet to go off into the room
Right.
while other family members are over here, he's just playing or she's just playing on that tablet, which I think,
Right.
in my opinion, is also going to affect them in the school. What do
It
you think
will.
about that?
I totally agree. And one of the things that my mentor, when I used to go by my best friend's house, used to make me do was sit to the dinner table
Yeah.
where we would eat and have a
Hmm.
conversation.
Hmm. Yes.
And
Yes.
he always tell me, Leo, this is what my father used to do with me.
Mm.
We sit to the dinner table every night and he taught me that. And so
Wow.
that allowed me to know how to express myself, know how to open, know how to say what's bothering me. So interaction, like nothing beats physical interaction, nothing
Right.
at all. You know,
Nothing.
opening up on a text message as opposed to opening up in person where I can actually touch you, embrace you, and soothe you through that process. I mean, a cell
Why do
phone
you
can.
think? Why do you think that? And again, this is helping me.
Mhm.
Why do you think the younger generations are more they prefer more of the non-touching, the non-verbal versus the text? Why is that?
Because it's become convenient.
Mm,
We as human beings, we lean more towards convenience. So without that knowledge of knowing why it's important, we're always gonna choose the more convenient route, which is picking up a phone
mhm,
and sending a text as opposed to, okay, let me go down to Val's house and see what
mhm.
she's doing today. Let me knock on her door, etc., etc. The most convenient thing right now in modern day society is the cell phone and picking it up as opposed to going and knocking on Bell's door. But we see mental health is spiraling out of control right now. And that's the reason why, is because the phone
There's
has
no
become a convenience, but also a detriment to our social life. Because back then we couldn't pick up this thing and do all these things.
true.
Back then I was forced to go down to Bell's house,
You was forced to go down there and go visit. Yes,
and
yes,
go and have a
yes,
conversation. And she's gonna tell me something. Even if
yes.
I go to her house for some sugar,
Chef,
she's gonna bless me. She's gonna bless me. Boy, what you got on
what
today?
you got on? You already know it. That's the first thing I'm now. What is that you put on today?
So
Where
when
you
you
going
go
with
to
all
Vail,
them
so when
colors?
you go to Miss Bell's house, you ain't man, Miss Bell's gonna check me. So
You
let me
already
go.
know it. You already
Right.
know it, don't you?
Let me go back now to their society. I can just send you a text message in my pajamas, and that's equivalent to going to your house and asking you, or so
But I
um
think that that's part of the problem when they do get out. They don't see that it's wrong that I'll just use this. I was on the flying last week. I was in Atlanta airport and I was so put off at the way I seen some of the younger generations dressing
right,
on a plane out in
right,
public. I mean, with their pajama pants on and some
mm,
flip-flops and a
right.
muffin on their head. I mean that I call it a muffin. What's that thing called? A bonnet on their
Oh, the
head.
Bonac, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And I think it really bothered me. No, I know it did. It bothered me a lot because where's the pride? That was one of
right,
the things that was so
right.
important in my generation coming up. Uh, when you're stepping out, when you're going somewhere, especially getting on a plane. I mean,
Dress appropriately.
dress appropriately. So why do you think the younger generation doesn't see anything wrong with that?
Because, all right, so we also have to be mindful that with these cell phones now comes algorithms. So what algorithms does is that it reinforces the things that we like. It doesn't stretch us outside of our comfort zone. So
Mm,
if you're locked into one thought pattern, from an 8-year old all the way to a 16-year old, you're gonna continue to be locked into that with yourself, because your cell phone is gonna just give you that that the things that you're interested in. It's not going to expose you to other things. And so it keeps you locked into the shell. And if you're not getting that social interaction that we spoke about earlier, where I can go down to Miss Vale's house, it's just going to keep you locked into the things that are not growing you, just the things that are that you're interested in. And so algorithms from smartphones is the reason why youth are not seeing what's wrong with them, because they have these groups on social media that supports their ideologies now, as opposed to their own social groups within the community.
Wow, that's deep. So what can we do, if we can start today,
Right,
what can and if Miss Val, what can
right.
I do or what would you recommend me to do? And then even yourself that we can help to change that because it's important. I just don't see a lot of them really having a lot of pride in themselves, because it's as you
Right.
said, the algorithms have said it's okay
It's
because it's
okay.
only picking up the people that they go in and follow. So they're
I see.
seeing this. That's exactly what you're saying. So they're
Exactly.
seeing this and it's being accepted with the ones they're following.
Mm,
That's why they're not able to see something that says, "No, you're getting on a plane, you're going
right,
somewhere, you might meet the person that's gonna change your life on that
right,
plane or in that airport."
right.
Now they're gonna look at you and say, "I'm not gonna trust my brand, I'm not gonna trust something with you." So we can what can we do? What can I do?
I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel at all. I think we just have to increase these initiatives that bring youth together and bring
Mhm,
them under a roof, and we can have these same type of conversations. Case in point, one of the guys that I mentor, last week he sent me this picture, and it was a picture from the conference that I first met him at,
mhm,
and he was like, it was a picture of a painting that we all painted together in the group, like the
mhm.
youth group. And he's like, I kept this because that conference was so powerful. This is a Generation Z who has
Wow.
so much information at its disposal. You can
Mhm,
Google anything, but yet that one conference, that one event where you could actually interact with like-minded youth and be at a table and do some really cool things
mhm.
is has been the most powerful thing that's happened to him. So we have to the old way still works.
It works, we just need to be more vigilant about it.
Right. You
Okay,
just have to, yeah,
and
we have
intentional.
right. And I feel like a lot of people are busy nowadays. So busy that they can't do these things that they used to do with the young people.
Well,
So I
do you think we're busy being busy? Because if we
that
can
is
find time, we can find time for a
true.
lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we find time for what's important. And I have a
Aha.
you understand, I have a
Mm,
personal interest in the younger generation.
mm.
So if I have that personal interest, then I'm going to find time for it. So
Yes,
I would love if you and I can mentor up together
for sure.
and
For
work
sure.
on something where we are pulling and I know this conversation is going in another direction here, but I think it should
Yes,
because that I truly have a passion for the younger generation and I hear yours.
yes,
And just
yes.
talking to you, I see it's real. And I don't like hooking up with people that are just in it for the season or in it for the limelight. But I think you're
Yeah,
definitely there because it's a passion. And
yeah.
I really want, and I know they're looking at me like time, time, time. Uh, I really want Crystal and Steven and myself to really get with you because I really want
Okay.
to work on something that we can create a true platform that doesn't just touch it can touch here too. So I really want
Hmm.
us to do something that I think is meaningful, that can really help. And I think you have it down. Crystal and them are looking at me. Steven's like, here we go again with something else she wants to do. But I do think that you have something special.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I really would like Before I go, I'm going to throw one more question at you. Now that you're an adult, a speaker or author, a leader for young men, what lesson do you want to learn from what lesson have you learned from your platform?
Um,
Or do
you
you
have to
want them to learn
constantly,
from your platform?
well, the lesson I've learned from my life experiences is to always step outside of your comfort zone. Like
Mhm.
that's where you have the most growth,
Yes.
and that's where you develop the most. It's always uncomfortable in the initial stages because it's a completely new environment, but that's where you grow. And at our core, all because we're spiritual beings, um, at our core, we want to grow, we want to expand. And the best way we can do that is by stepping out of our comfort zones daily, doing the things that makes us afraid, that makes us sweat, that rises our anxiety levels a bit. That's a sign that you're in a space that you're uncomfortable with, and you have to ask yourself questions when you get those feelings. When I first got the opportunity to be on national radio here in the Turks and Caicos Islands, um, I was afraid because I'm like, man, I'm still working on myself. How I gonna
Yeah.
be telling these people
What to
how to
do?
put their
Yeah.
lives together?
Yes, yes. Yes.
But having friends around me and you know, them telling me that Leo,
You can do
you
this.
actually you nice, you
Yeah.
nice with it.
Yes.
And so hearing that affirmation, that's why I said earlier that brotherhood is key. you
Well,
know
I
um
hear you say that. I totally agree with you because when the podcast thing came up for me, oh, starting a business, I can do that with my eyes closed. That's what I've been doing for 30 something years.
I love
Sitting
that.
here doing a podcast, I was under the impression I was just going to be asked to talk every now and again. So when I had to sit in front of it and actually do it, I was petrified and petrified. I couldn't even remember the name of the show. And as I then getting on the radio was the same thing. And it took a while that I
Yeah.
had to really get to this place and just be myself,
Yes,
just talk,
that's it.
just be myself. If
Eh,
I mispronounce a name, okay, I mispronounced your name. I'm gonna mess it up, but that doesn't mean I was not trying to insult you. Uh I just be myself. And I
and
think that I absolutely love it.
mhm.
I've met some wonderful people like yourself, but just being myself. And I know
And
this is a calling.
that's the beauty of it, because once you get past that uncomfortable, fearful
Yes.
feeling, you connect with what can I bring to this space?
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
and how can I
Exactly.
make this space my space now that I'm in it?
Y and I'm
You
gonna just keep
know?
loving it and enjoying it because
Yes,
I know that it's not something I put myself in. I know it's something he put me in, so it's
yes,
it's already working. And then I'll what you said too, I have an amazing team around me, and they are my cheerleaders, and my
they are.
they're back there encouraging me. Even when they try to get me to go take this picture or do something on social media, I freak out, and they still encourage me. And then, of course, my number one cheerleader is my husband, who is always behind me. But he's saying that the podcast is your thing. But since he saw the new setup here in the podcast room, oh, he's ready to come get on the podcast. He's like, oh,
Right
I like
on.
this better. Yeah. So he's like, oh, now you want to be over here, huh? So I
I love
thank
that.
you so much, Leo. I just really wanted to jump on here and just have this opportunity for us to talk. We're going to talk
For sure.
more.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I look
you
forward to
are
it.
amazing, and I really tell the people how they can find you and what you're doing, and when is the series going to come out, or will we be able to see it?
All right, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter and also Facebook. My handle is at I am LT Born. I
Mhm.
am LT Born. You can search that and find me. I'm currently producing a new, and it's funny because it actually aligns with what you do here. So you see how God works. So the new TV series that I'm producing is called Let's Get Candid.
Wow, yes.
It's crazy.
You
It's crazy.
see? It's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
When
So
he does something, he does it right.
that's an affirmation. So
Yes.
this show features two generation Zers.
Mm.
So they're having two women, two young ladies,
Hmm.
and they're exploring their womanhood through candid conversation. You know, trying
Oh,
to. Both of them are single. Both of
okay.
them have had their little because they're still young. They're
Yes,
Generation
yes.
Z. But they're exploring themselves and finding themselves through the series, and so I'm really excited for it. It airs on April 24th on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, which is Open Thought Communications. That's our YouTube channel, but I'll be sharing it to my page on the day as well. So if you follow me, you'll get an opportunity to watch the show. But it's gonna be great. I don't think there's any show that features, well, in the Turks and Caicos, I would say, and they speak for Turks. There isn't any show that has the voice of Generation Z on it. So it's going to be interesting to see, where their minds are at, and how they are approaching certain things in this
Yes.
generation. So the next generation is up next, and I'm happy that God continues to use me to provide a platform for them to have that. I pray that that's something I can do for the rest of my life.
Well, you
To
will.
create.
You already spoke it. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen. Now,
yeah.
let me. How long does a series take for you to produce? How long did this take for you to produce it?
So we started production in February. We ended end of last month. So 2 months it took
2
us, and
months.
yeah, so
Okay.
2 months.
So you were serious about this. You pushed it on
Oh
through.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's good. Well, I'm excited. Thank you, Leo, for jumping on here, and I hope they don't beat me up too bad over here. I could stay on if I wanted to longer with you. Thank you so much. And like I said, me, you, and Crystal and Steven
For
need to
sure.
get together for I'll have Crystal kind of coordinate a time
Yeah, let
schedule
me know.
so we can get on and kind of talk about this and come up with something that's going to definitely benefit both ends.
Thank you. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Crystal and Steven. You guys are amazing. Continue on this journey. Continue expanding the platform because we need these type of conversations.
We really do. I think what we need is to continue to just give people an opportunity to just talk. If they
Yes.
can just
Yes.
open up and talk, we find
Yes.
out that we have more in common than we do, than not, and then it just gives you a sense of confidence that you're not alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our
So
stories are more alike than they are different.
100, and I think that that's a great way to end this show. Our stories are more alike than they are different. I thank you so much. And until next time, see you later. Bye bye. He is the